A living room. An antique radio blares out the opera Fidelio. The daughter is sleeping on the couch. Grandma enters, furious. She storms into the room and turns off the radio.
Marie! Marie! Marie!
She slaps her awake.
That noise is unbearable, and at that volume too.
The daughter signs. Noise?
Noise. All of it. Noise, 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 noise. I just want some peace and quiet for once.
The daughter turns on the radio again. Grandma turns it off. Glares. The daughter turns it on. Grandma turns it off again. The daughter's hands flies out to turn it on again when Grandma grabs her wrist.
Under my roof, my rules. My rules.
4 knocks. Grandma goes to open the door. It is the priest.
Good evening, Mrs. Pohl.
Father, lovely to see you. Come in, come in.
The daughter turns on the radio, turning up the volume.
Marie!
She runs to the radio, but the daughter has taken it and runs out. The opera can be heard traveling away.
What a mischievous child. I have my hands full with that one. Sit down, Father. Let me get you some tea. What would you prefer?
Earl Grey, please.
Of course, of course. Sit anywhere you'd like. Make yourself at home.
She exits. The priest looks around, then goes over to the array of picture frames. He takes one and looks at it. The daughter enters, hugging the still blaring radio.
Hello!
She glares. She places the radio on the table, walks over to the priest, and snatches the picture frame out of his hands. She starts scrubbing it, as if it has been infected. Grandma enters with a tray of tea for 2.
Marie, how many times?
Slamming the tray down, she turns off the radio.
I apologize for all the ruckus. What a wild child. Takes after her mother. Had the exact same issues raising her. Well, here's your tea. Excuse me for just a moment.
She goes over to the daughter and they angrily sign at each other. The priest sips his tea innocently. The daughter runs off, picture frame in hand.
I'm so sorry for that. So, what can I do for you, Father?
Well, I feel really awful after you've been so hospitable to me, but I'm here on behalf of the neighborhood. Yes. There have been many complaints about the noise and the yelling and just general commotion both during the day and the night. I've also been made aware that the police have been involved.
They were not... It was a simple house call. Nothing more, nothing less. Father, you are so gullible. No insult, but you really must be more careful in believing the lies, the gossip of the neighborhood.
Yes, I see. Yes, I'll certainly be more cautious in the future.
Father, as you've seen in the mere minutes since you've come, I have no reign over the child. I have given up on her, and she continues on in her tyranny. I can only wait until my daughter and her husband return from their trip to collect her again.
Oh, how is dear Maggie doing?
Dandy. She calls every few days to check up on me and Marie. But now that practices have ended, she's become even busier. She hasn't called in a while.
And her performances, they've received favorable reviews.
I don't know. I haven't looked them up. She says she could have done this better and that better, but she always says that with every performance.
Ah, the artist's soul. And Nicholas?
Who knows?
Aren't they together this time in Berlin?
I don't know.
Does he call to check up on Marie?
Every day.
And if you don't mind me asking, do you let him speak with Marie?
Father, the child is deaf.
Loud stomps above them.
One moment.
No, please, bring Marie downstairs. I would like to speak with her, if you don't mind.
No. She will keep quiet as the adults speak.
Mrs. Pohl, I would really like to greet her.
She doesn't speak at all. She only knows sign language.
We will find a way.
Are you sure? She doesn't like strangers.
Well, I would have to get acquainted with her to not become a stranger then.
I will bring her down to greet you properly and apologize for her behavior. That's it, though. She has homework to do and school tomorrow.
Of course, we won't take too long.
She exits. Something falls and crashes upstairs. Grandma enters, clutching the daughter's forearm.
Marie, this is Father Hoffman. Say hello.
The daughter waves half-heartedly.
Nice to meet you.
Grandma pinches her ear. A cry. The daughter greets the priest properly.
Nice to meet you, Marie. Please sit. I would like to talk with you. Mrs. Paul, if you wouldn't mind translating.
The priest offers a hand to shake. She takes it slowly, then he takes her and sits her down next to him.
This will be a little difficult, but I'm sure we'll get through it with your grandma here. Right, Mrs. Paul?
Father, it's her bedtime.
Just a little while longer.
But...
God will allow it. But just this once, okay, Marie?
Grandma sits and she translates while he speaks.
Marie, I'm here because people have been saying that there's been a lot of noise coming from this home. And please stop me at any time if I'm being insensitive. You know, it becomes very distracting if it's too loud, and since we all live together in one neighborhood, we should respect each other's comfort and try to accommodate to make everyone happy. Do you understand?
The daughter signs something. Grandma pinches her cheek hard. She cries out.
Apologize.
What is it?
You malevolent, stubborn, misanthropic child, what will I do with you? You think you can carry on this way because you're deaf? No one will pity you. No one. Father Hoffman has taken his valuable evening to visit us. You will apologize if it's the last thing you ever do.
Please, Mrs. Paul. You're only aggravating the situation.
I am teaching her manners.
May I have some alone time with Marie?
What?
Just between the two of us.
Who will translate?
Can the child read?
5 minutes.
And not a second longer.
Grandma leaves.
Well, now that it's just between us two.
He takes out a pen and paper.
Now that it's just between us two, we can be more free, right?
He offers the pen. She takes it and writes.
Are you here to take me away?
No. Where did you get that idea?
Grandma threatens me. To a place where they keep kids like me.
Do you want to go?
Sometimes.
Grandma means well, but you make it very difficult for her.
I know.
Then why?
So Mom and Dad will come home quicker.
They run out of paper. The daughter runs to the piano, opens up the seat, and takes out the sheet music. She flips them to the blank back.
You said I'm being too loud. Do you know? Silence is the loudest sound. When Grandma gets mad, when too noisy, it reminds her I'm here.
Have you ever told Grandma this?
No.
You should.
Dad will come home soon. He said he won't leave me ever again.
When?
Soon. It's a secret. Promise. Grandma doesn't like Dad.
I promise.
She speaks.
Thank you. And I'm sorry.
You have your mother's voice. Do you promise me not to be too loud? Just loud enough to remind Grandma.
She nods her head. They link their pinky fingers to seal the promise.
Mrs. Paul, we're done?
Grandma enters.
Well, my work is done here.
She wasn't rude.
No, not at all. A pleasure to be with.
And the complaints?
I'm sure there will be none. Marie made a promise, isn't that right? I'll speak with the police as well. I think that's all for today.
Yes. Thank you very much for your time, Father.
My pleasure, Mrs. Paul. Would you mind bringing Marie to church? I'd like to keep in contact with her.
No. It's no place for her.
There's always a place for Maggie's child.
The world is cruel to people like her.
I'll make sure that doesn't happen.
But children can be
Children can understand much more than we adults believe. Even deaf children. I think it'll also benefit her to be with children her own age. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Then it's settled.
I'll take her to the playground, but I won't take her to church. No insult, Father, but I'd rather she not go there.
Is there something I'm not aware of that's making you hesitate?
Oh, no, nothing of the sort.
Then why so reluctant?
It's just my silly thinking. Grant an old gal her silly wishes, Father.
Well, all right. Oh, when Maggie returns, tell her she's free to visit any time. Nicholas, too.
I'll tell her.
And Nicholas?
Maggie will tell him.
You should take Marie to voice class. She is a beautiful one, like her mother.
Father, you should stop instilling ideas into that child's head. She is deaf. She can't sing when she can't hear.
Oh, I'm sure there's a way. You know, there's this video I saw of an armless man playing the piano with his feet. He plays beautifully.
It's impossible for Marie.
Or maybe a violin. The instrument is closer to her ear. Maybe she can hear just a little bit.
Impossible. And I'd rather her not be faced with that devastating conclusion down the road.
I think that would be Marie's choice.
You are not the one that she returns to when she falls and have to pick up the pieces. Good night, Father.
See you Sunday.
Yes, see you Sunday.
And Marie, too.
Good night, Father.
Yes, good night.
He leaves, waving goodbye at the daughter. She waves back. Grandma sits down, face buried in her hands. The daughter stands silently, hands behind her back. Grandma signs.
Not one noise. Or no school tomorrow.
The daughter goes to the sheets of music and starts cleaning up.
Show me.
She hides them behind her back, shaking her head.
What did you tell Father Hoffman? Marie? Marie, come here.
She scrunches the papers up and puts them in her mouth.
Spit it out now. You look foolish. Spit it out. Let me see. Did you tell him you wanted to sing? That you wanted to try music? Did you?
She fishes out the pieces of paper from the daughter's mouth. She flattens them out and reads. The daughter exits.
Foolish child. My foolish child, as if I could forget her.
The composer enters and sits down next to her.
You have come and infected one of mine again, have you? As if Maggie wasn't enough.
I do not believe that man's natural disposition is cruelty.
How will she face the slander? The slander that this infirmity that she has, that which should have been more perfect in her than in others.
Do all mothers become philosophers?
I have seen Magdalene struggle and beat herself to exhaustion, to death, perfecting this thing called music. She married a man who loves music more than he loves her.
Aren't all artists the same?
She deserves better.
You
Much better.
You should ask Magdalene if she loves music or if she loves Nicholas more.
I will not endure the same for Marie. Especially if it's Marie. It will not end well, I know.
You said the same thing about Magdalene years ago, and now look at her, singing to the masses in Berlin.
But not Marie. You can't have Marie.
It's a childish question whether an artist loves their lover or their art more. It's like asking a child, who do they love more, their mommy or their daddy?
Just spare me, Marie. I beg you.
I don't choose who I infect. They choose themselves.
She can't.
No, it is you who can't.
He turns on the radio. Loud applause and a man announces, "And a most spectacular performance of Fidelio. What virtuosity!"
You've seen the blood, sweat, and tears that goes behind this moment, so you know the glamour is a lie.
The blood, sweat, and tears of the supporting cast are also never seen. I've suffered just as much as she. I've given up parts of my soul for music, though I never sang a note in my life.
And you have none left for Marie.
None.
I see. I understand.
Thank you. Thank you so very much.
It was my music that withheld me. It seemed impossible to leave the world until I had produced all that I felt called upon to produce. And so I endured this wretched existence. Nothing takes without giving back.
He exits. The phone rings, the ringtone set to Fur Elise. It goes to voicemail.
Mother, it's Nicholas, just calling in to check on you and Marie. I hope everything's well. I will be returning home next week, arriving at the airport around 8:30 or so. Don't worry about the ride, I'll take a taxi. If you wouldn't mind telling Marie, we can go for dinner, or if it becomes too late, maybe breakfast. Maggie wants to tell you she misses you, Mrs. Marie, and will come home soon. Please tell Marie. And do you want anything from Berlin, Mother? Ask Marie as well.
As the message is playing, Grandma goes over to the phone. Her hand shakes above the receiver, hesitating.